hero. Same thing in copy. It's all structure, and you can utilize other people's promotion structures as much as you like. In fact, you take two different promotions you like, combine them together, so they're somewhat similar, and you just created your own new structure. Anything, we'll get to this next session for when we talk about the technique for producing ideas, but there's nothing new under the sun. Everything we call new usually is just a combination of two old things put together in a new way. The same thing's true for structure. So that's the extraction technique.
So again, you look at it, and let's just keep this analogy going with songwriting and things like that. So let's say, again, top 20 songs in the world, right? And let's say that Britney Spears is one of those 20. So someone give me a Britney Spears song.
Oops, I did it again.
Bob's automatically out of copy.
I was
that was the
thinking about
test.
it.
Anybody? No, okay, so oops, I did it again, right? So let's say that's in the top 20, right? I don't know. Obviously I like the song, of course, but I don't know. My guess is it probably follows the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus thing, right? So then somebody give me another hit song that might generally be
Thriller.
What's that?
Thriller.
Michael Jackson.
Thriller, right? Come on, you're gonna give me a weird one now. Because that's probably one that breaks me.
Hotel California.
Hotel California. Okay, so let's say that again looks at verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, right? You look at something like Britney Spears, and you look at something like Hotel California, and they may follow the same structure. The listener does not understand that's the same thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're passively listening, and they're just seeing different chords, and a different harmony, and a different hook. That's what you're doing when you read structure. You get the structure. The reader is not going to understand that what you're writing is the same thing as a structure of a different promotion, because your ideas are going to be different. Your chord structure is going to be, your songwriting structure is going to be the same, but the chords are going to be different. The tone's going to be different. The timing's going to be a little bit different, but the structure of it is going to be the same based on something that you've seen proven out there before. This comes back to Pete's thing about writing fast. If you're trying to invent your own structure, it's going to take you a long time. If you're saying, look, I'm going to think slow and work fast, meaning I'm going to think long and hard about my idea, but when I have my idea, I'm going to work on it really fast. The best way to do that is to have a huge swipe file, narrow down to templates that you're able to force an idea in that sounds similar-ish to another idea you know worked in the same template. So that's why any copywriter that I ever talk to, and I'm like, what'd you read yesterday? And if they say, I didn't read anything yesterday, I was too busy writing, I'm like, well, you're going to be a shit copywriter. Because everybody should be reading every single day. There's so much shit out there, it's amazing, right, for us to read. Read a promo every single day. Why would you not do that? Because it's going to make everything that you do in the future compoundingly easy. Because now you've continued to force things into these templates. One of the things that I do, and I've only given you guys 60 of my swipe files. Ryan has an enormous swipe file as well. But I've only given you 60 of mine. If you guys want my full swipe file, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of promos. And what I do is that I read the promo, similar to Ryan, I break it down, I circle sections and say, why is that there? I circle proof and I say, what type of proof is that? Like, is it social proof that someone else has made money from that idea? Is it a major media credibility type of proof that Bloomberg says you can make money from this idea? So I do all of that, and then I categorize it into what type of idea is this? And I organize my swipe file based on the categories of those ideas. If you don't know the categories of the ideas, you should read a book. I think have we already given out Great Leads?
No, it's coming up.
Okay, we're going to give a book out called Great Leads. And it basically says that in the financial publishing arena, and in health as well a little bit, and I'm going to screw some of these up and I'm trying to get the broad brushstrokes correct, that there's 6 categories of ideas. One is a prediction, one is a problem solution, one is a secret/system, one is an invitation, one is a story, and I forget the 6th.
Promise. Proclamation.
What did I say? What?
Promise offer.
I said promise solution.
They said
You said
Offer,
promise.
okay, problem, solution. Offer, that was the final one. Offer. So what I do is I read all my promos and I say, what of the 6 type of ideas does this belong in? And I categorize my swipe file based on what idea I believe was led with in that copy. Then, therefore, again, you reverse engineer this thing. Let's say I have an idea. I'm like, cool, this idea is a prediction idea. I go and I open my prediction folder, that I have hundreds of swipe files in. And I look through them and say, okay, these are the 3 I think most fit because this is the structure I want to follow. I'll go take my prediction and I'll put it into that. The only way that works is if you already have organized your swipe file based on these categories. So if you guys want to see how I do it, I'll share my whole swipe file with you. You can see hundreds and hundreds of promotions organized already by category. I did not do that for you guys during the day 1 to 60 reading list because I wanted to throw everything at you and not jump the gun in telling you about ideas and categorization. But that's how I do it as well. So you could develop your own way, right? You could take half of what Ryan does, half of what I do. Pete as well, he's got some amazing technique for doing it on the iPad that's way too technical that I don't understand. I have to do it like a dummy on paper. But he does it on his iPad and organizes it and outlines it and everything like that. So you ask the best copywriters in Agora, about promos and they know. You ask other people who failed about certain promos and they're like, I've never read that promo. That's crazy to me. You gotta be a genius if you're not doing that. I'm not that person.
So let's talk about a real basic template for a sales letter. All right. Beginning, middle, end. Okay? And it seems simplistic, but it doesn't have to be that hard. Now within, these things there's different things, but it's really that simple. Right? If you think of it like a conversation, begin the conversation, we call that the lead. And then there's the middle. And the end, we call that the close. Okay? So when you look at that structure, 3 questions you might ask yourself as someone goes through that. Number 1, what is the one thing the reader needs to believe in order to buy? Okay. What sub-beliefs do they need to have to believe that one thing? And the 3rd question you might ask yourself is, when do you actually make the sales pitch and the offer to buy? Generally how it looks is, if you study enough of these things, that 75% of it is just building attention, interest, and desire to that one point when they believe. And the rest of it is really 25%. So when we talk about like a sales letter, we talk about copy as salesmanship in print. A lot of the way we write copy is not offer copy. That selling, that really hard, what we call hard sale. Like, you must buy this now. A lot of that language is actually in the close, the back 25%. After they already believe the one thing they need to believe, which typically is, what do you think that is? The one thing they need to believe in to buy. The big idea. Right? Does that make sense? More handouts. So Dan Kennedy has an interesting list that he calls his list of agreements. And really these are kind of the sub-beliefs that someone needs to believe in order to, until they believe something enough to buy. So we're getting now into the persuasion aspect of it. We'll get more later when we get to some of the other future sessions where we really talk about pushing those emotional buttons and the weapons of influence. But I thought this was a really handy list. It starts out like possibility. Someone has to believe that something's possible. Again, it sounds obvious, but we talked about last week, like, people's limits of beliefs. And if your whole premise of your promo is based on UFOs or something, is someone even going to believe that? Right? You got to find the limit of someone's belief. It can't be beyond that. Someone to believe it's even possible. They have to believe that it has beneficial nature. It has to believe that whatever your big idea is, that it actually is going to benefit them in some way. Again, very obvious, but people miss that one all the time. Number 3, they have to believe that it's even attainable, that somebody can actually get whatever you're promising. Number 4, they have to believe that it's personally possible. That's a little bit different than possible, if you think about it. They have to believe that they can do it, which gets into the whole idea of like people's self-esteem and how they view themselves. So you can present an idea like how Warren Buffett made a bunch of money, and people are like, well, fuck it, I'm not Warren Buffett, right? They have to believe that, you have to make it seem like they could do it. It's even possible. Personal attainability. Can they actually do it? They might believe it's possible, but are they going to actually believe that they can get it? Whatever you're promising. You need to tell them why it's not their fault. Why because most people view themselves as a failure. That's why they're on the market. They're looking, if they're successful, they wouldn't buy from us because they'd already have all the money they need and know everything they need to know, and so they won't even be a prospect. One of the ways you can answer that, why it's not his fault, is what makes it different. Like I said before, new and different is better than better. Personal beneficial nature, like what is it actually in for that person? Like that's where you can get a lot of like future pacing as far as like putting mental pictures in his head about he's going to make a bunch of money. What does that mean for him? You know, is he going to be able to play more golf or go to every restaurant he wants or take a cruise around the world? Like, what is his true desire as far as what the money is going to get him? You want to tell them that there's some sort of timing because you want to get some urgency, like why right now? You want to tell them